Go ahead.
My question first is for Matt. For Matt?
Yes?
Okay, sorry. Don't look like Matt to me. Matt, you started your remarks suggesting that this plan anticipates positive change. Can you define positive change to me?
I'll take that question, Councillor Hardwick. The positive change is our opportunity to align housing with a significant investment in transit from the province by adding a number of new rental households, both affordable, below market, social, and adding jobs.
So speaking of jobs, I'm concerned about the consistency of the job targets in the Broadway plan with both the existing Metro Vancouver 2040 regional growth strategy and the draft Metro Vancouver 2050 strategy, actually, which has passed. The Broadway corridor plan includes space for an additional 42,000 jobs. There is no rationale given for providing so much job space in this corridor other than the medical precinct job growth. This far exceeds regionally accepted regional targets in the Metro core. How do you rationalize that?
Yes, we received that memo from Ms. DeMarco this morning, and I'll ask Chris and Matt to address that. Thank you.
Chris Robertson, Assistant Director, Citywide and Regional Planning. I'll start just to say that we did receive that memo early this morning, and we would like to note that we had an independent consultant as part of the Employment Lands and Economy Review develop projected scenarios for us, and those were within the range of the Metro Metro Vancouver's regional growth strategy targets. They were on our high scenario side of things, but certainly within the range. For the specifics around the percentages, I might get Matt to respond to that.
Thank you very much. Matthew Burke, Senior Planner in Economic Development Planning. Just to follow on that, as you'll recall, Council, we did do the Employment Lands and Economy Review report came to you in October 2020. And that was the result of 2 years of engagement and research work with the community, looking at projections for how much job space we might need to accommodate over the next 30 years citywide. The high scenario in that work resulted in demand citywide for about 210,000 additional jobs, 2016 to 2051. By looking at that and comparing that to Metro, we noticed that 210,000 would keep the city's share of regional jobs at about where it is today, at around 33%. The consultants didn't look at a sub-area projection below the citywide, but they have told us that one of the good ways to look at that is to look at where development activity is happening today as an indication of market demand for a particular sub-area. About 20% of the city's recent development activity in terms of jobs is happening in the Broadway corridor, and the plan, as it's noted in the report, calls for about 20% of the city's job growth over the next 30 years to be in Broadway.
I would love to debate this, but now is not the time. So I'm going to move on to my next question, which is, have you considered the inflationary impact of land values? How will this inflation of land values impact housing affordability? It's going to have a huge impact, and even setting aside a certain amount, as you've described,
Right.
a rising tide lifts all boats, as they say.
Yes, thank you. That's a great question, Matt. Oh, Blair, could you respond to that for us, please?
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Councillor Hardwick, for the question. It's Blair Erb here from Coriolis Consulting. We did, as alluded to earlier, we did quite a substantial amount of testing of different redevelopment scenarios that are envisioned in the planning area. And they obviously vary by neighborhood and location because there's different uses and densities permitted under the plan. But what our work showed is that in the vast majority of instances, there's unlikely to be substantial upward pressure on land values due to the plan. And what's going on is that although there's a lot of extra density envisioned on many sites in the plan, the mitigating factor that brings the land value back down are the CAC expectations, the social housing requirements, and the below market rental requirements that will need to be delivered in order to obtain that extra density. So, we think there will be modest increases in land values in some locations, but in the vast majority of places, very little.
It'll be interesting to see what BC Assessment has to say about that.